Oh. All right, I may swing up here at halftime. Bye, bud.
Test, test, test. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right. We are live, everybody. Welcome to Bird's Nest Stadium in beautiful Georgetown, Kentucky, for tonight's slightly delayed football game between the undefeated Great Crossing Warhawks that come in with a record of 2-0 and the Henry Clay Blue Devils with their record of 1-1 out of Class 6A, out of neighboring Lexington, paying their first visit ever, I believe, to Bird's Nest Stadium, as they have not played Scott County in a couple of years. I'm Cal Oakes, along with Coach Paul Raines. We're here to bring you the action. This game, of course, was scheduled to start at the bottom of the hour, 7:30. During the pregame, about 7 o'clock, 7:10, some nearby thunderstorms brought some lightning to the Richmond, Winchester, Lexington area that was close enough to necessitate a delay here, but we are on target for an 8 o'clock start. We thank you for joining us. Coach, you're familiar with this program, of course. Another good start for them, especially on the defensive side of the football. What's been the key?
I think the big thing is the linebackers have really stepped up. Of course, you got Pilot LaCasco that's now a 4-year veteran leading that charge, and then you got Fisher on the edge, which is one of the it's not one of the best players in the state of Kentucky. And so the defensive line in the second level have played really well. Secondary is young, but they seem to be coming on quite a bit. They'll be tested this afternoon. Henry Clay's got some nice wide receivers and speed, so they'll be tested on that side of the ball.
Yeah, Henry Clay beat a pretty good program in Connor, 25-14 in the season opener, and they got beat fairly handily a week ago. Came back to earth a little bit, but nice quarterback by the name of Van Horn did not play last week. He's been the key for them. Blake Van Horn had a good start to the season, but then they went with a different guy last week. Turned it over quite a bit in their loss, and obviously Great Crossing's got to be licking its chops there. Two things they've done. One, especially in week one, they were able to take advantage of turnovers and also some big plays on special teams. And two, they have gotten to the quarterback. 4 sacks last week, and as you mentioned, Orion Fisher. What makes him so special? Obviously, he's got the prototype size to be an edge guy, but what else is it about it?
Well, you know, the wingspan, he's able to get those long arms on the offensive tackle. And the thing that impressed me the most so far watching him is how much power he has on his bull rush. You know, I really didn't expect that first game that he would be able to take those offensive linemen and put them back in the quarterback's face. And he is a force to be reckoned with out there.
I know Coach Bowling was concerned a little bit about Orion being double-teamed, triple-teamed at the line quite a bit, and other guys had to step up, and other guys have. Joshua Strayer had a sack last week. Some other guys have also. I think I was talking to Orion the other day. He thinks just about everybody on the line has a sack for them, and I think he's right. Ethan Harris had one a week ago. They held a good team over there at North Oldham to minus rushing yards and 36 total yards of offense. You're not going to win many games. You're not going to score many points putting up those kind of numbers.
No, that's a long night when you can't move the ball like that. So they'll face probably a little bit more athletic and a little bit more formidable foe. I know, Cal, one of the things that I noticed, I watched a little game film on Henry Clay, and we might keep our eye on tonight. They had some center quarterback exchange problems out of the shotgun. There were several low snaps that end up costing them. You know, you're automatically back 6 yards every time that happens, and there's no play being run. So even with the new quarterback, it'll be interesting to see how well their center does getting the ball back there to him.
Yeah, there was a time when you had problems with the exchange, you just fall on it, and it would be no harm, no foul. It would be second down at 10. Now it's second down at 17, like you say. Especially if you're running out of the spread or the shotgun, you're going to be in a bad down and distance situation right off the bat. So offensively, Great Crossing has done enough to win 2 games. Certainly, they would like to finish drives a little better. I know, especially last week, they were frustrated. They moved the ball, but just couldn't sustain it as much as Coach Bowling, Coach Peniston, and the others would like. But they've got some depth, especially at that running back position, and even on the outside with the receivers, both Zachary Kelly and DJ Blunt. We'll talk more about them on the other side of the anthem, but we're going to have the band play our national anthem for us right now. Cal Oaks, Paul Raines back with you here at Bird's Nest Stadium, talking about the Great Crossing offense. And you look at that offense, you've got a senior running back, Jaquise Patterson. You've got senior receivers, Zachary Kelly and DJ Blunt. You've got a senior second-year starting quarterback in Gabe Nichols. You've got a senior-led offensive line, Kevin O'Doherty, Zach Kugel. It would seem that it's not a matter of if the offense is going to take off, just a question of when.
And I think it takes a little bit longer for the offenses to set in. You know, they've had 2 weeks under their belt. Usually by the time you get to the third week, you'll see the teams improve the most over week 2 and week 3. And I know Coach Boland said, you know, they were just a little bit off last week. There was opportunities there, and they weren't able to take advantage of it. So hopefully tonight they'll come out and they'll be in tune with each other, and we'll get that offense rolling and get it in the end zone when they get down there.
And not to sell them short, they did hang 60 points on Western Hills in week 1. A lot of things played into that, a couple of special teams touchdowns, some short fields. The defense and special teams certainly put them in some good situations as well, but they were able to cash in. Special teams has been really good, both in the return game and last week. Jack Harold with a couple of long field goals, including a 42-yarder school record. Just missed a 41-yarder as well. That's a heck of a weapon to have when you're going to be in some close games going down the stretch in the season.
It's tough defensively when you know the other team gets to the 30-yard line. They've got a chance of putting 3 points on the board. So it puts a little added pressure on the defense to try to keep them on the other end of the field.
The captains, Chucky Wilson, Gabe Nichols, Caden Allen, Pilot Lacosco, going to the 50-yard line to meet with the Henry Clay captains. They'll have the coin flip. We're about 2 minutes away from action here at the Bird's Nest. Nice crowd filed in. They made them leave for a little while, and there was a line at the ticket booth trying to get in. They weren't going to sell them tickets until we knew for sure what was going on, but just a short weather delay. Sun setting behind some clouds behind the church over here. It's a beautiful Friday night for football. It's going to be a hot one compared to, I think, a couple of the other Friday nights. And we are looking forward to bringing you all the action. It's the only game in town, Scott County on the rare week 3 bye, as the Warhawks, the rest of the Warhawks, take the field. Led by Jarius Patterson and Kevin O'Doherty. It's a very senior-led group. You were here when these seniors were freshmen and didn't have a weight room, and look where they are now, right?
We didn't have pads.
Didn't have a place to deliver the mail, as I recall.
Yeah.
All kinds of boxes. We're like, we've got all kinds of deliveries. We're just not quite sure where they are
The
right
shipping company had dropped our football equipment off, and nobody in the entire Scott County or Scott County schools had an idea where it was dropped at, Cal. So, yeah, we've come a long way, and these seniors are what you could say battle-hardened, because most of them, like Pilot and Chucky and and the Patterson boys, they've all been out there for 4 years now. So there's not much they're going to see that they haven't seen before.
This team won 8-3 last year. They are, of course, off to the 2-0 start. They hosted Western Hills and won 60-13 2 weeks ago as part of the Battle of Elkhorn Creek. Went to North Oldham first road game, always a test, and it played out that way with the 12-0 victory. They will receive tonight here in their return home in week 3. Henry Clay to kick off wearing the all-white uniforms with the nice dark blue numbers that we'll be able to see from the press box. Beautiful thing.
That's helpful for us.
Oh, my goodness gracious. With the gold helmets. Great crossing in the green tops, the blue pants, the white helmets going from right to left on your radio dial or your YouTube screen if you're listening to us on your computer. Hopefully you're watching us on the NFHS network. Glad you could join us. Be here for all the home games, both Great Crossing and Scott County for the remainder of this season. Brought to you by all our kind sponsors, along with, of course, my publisher at News Graphic, Mike Scoggin. Want to thank him. Want to thank Brett Smith, who's not here tonight. So hopefully I got our sound turned on properly and you're hearing us. DT Wells, also an instrumental part of this program, and we thank him. A little bit of a delay here as they get the ball on the tee and the officials get ready. Here, just a little bit behind schedule, right at 8 o'clock.
He's having a hard time with the ball there, Cal.
Yeah, he's trying to get it set up.
Great Crossing's got some nice return men back there. I think it was Drake Bird that took a punt to the house in that first game, so they're a little dangerous back there. And this one is going to be returnable.
It is in the air and caught at the 16. Some room at the 30, the 35, across the 35. Was holding the ball out there a little bit dangerously, I thought, but tucked it back in and down at the 37. Isaiah Johnson on the return. Gets more than 20 yards to put Great Crossing in a good spot to open this game. The quarterback is Gabe Nichols. He's a senior, threw for 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns a year ago. 7 for 11 in week 1, 9 for 20 last week with a pick. The only touchdown in the game was a Zach Morris run after a short punt by North Oldham in the third quarter to put him ahead 12-0, which ended up being the final. Jarius Patterson was able to drive the ball on the ground quite a bit, and he is the lone setback behind Nichols right now. Nichols in the spread. He will look to throw on first down, looks to his left. It's Blunt on the left side, wrapped up quickly right at the 40 by number 2, Luke Morris. He is a senior defensive back for Henry Clay.
Lexcat had some success last week throwing against this defense, and it'll be interesting to see if Coach Bowl and Coach Penn come out and keep the ball in the air and try to take advantage of maybe some weaknesses that they saw on film.
Was a tough 48-6 loss for Henry Clay, but you're right. Leicester Catholic team that's ranked in the top 10 regardless of class in the state, and certainly no shame in that one for Henry Clay. They won only one game a year ago. Nichols to throw again. Now he'll have to scramble up the middle, gets good yardage across the 45, and he will spin past the marker. You're right. Ball's on the ground. Henry Clay says they're signaling they've got it. The question is, did they whistle the play dead? The officials right there, a little bit of a scrum as Nichols had the ball. Now they're going to signal first down. Nash Dotson, number 4 for Henry Clay. He's one of their leading tacklers. Kind of wrestled it away from Nichols, but he was already on the ground. This game was close last year, Coach, 19-13. Great Crossing had the lead most of the night, but had to get a stop in the final 2 minutes just shy of the red zone to sew that one up.
Yeah, they made that one probably a little more exciting than it needed to be made, but it was one of the probably more exciting games they played last year.
Definitely one of the closer ones, along with the 2 Scott County games. Nichols will throw for the 3rd straight down. He finds Bird on the right side. Bird will have another first down across the 40, right at the marker, actually at the 42, where they will mark his forward progress. And Great Crossing is on the move early.
Drake Bird has turned into a fine football player. I mean, he was as a freshman. Of course, he's slight the size he is now, but I've been really impressed with what he's done this year.
He's a triple threat. They will play him out on the flank. They will, of course, line him up in the secondary, and they will put him back to return punts, and he has been a threat in all 3 areas. First down and 10 at the Henry Clay 42. Only 2 minutes expired in this one. If you're just joining us, you didn't miss much because we had a half-hour weather delay. Nichols has thrown it on all 3 downs. He will hand off to Patterson. Lots of room off left tackle. Little ankle tackle there to stop him from more gain as number 16, Walden Cole, reaches in. But it's a gain of 6. Call it 5 at the 37. It'll be 2nd and 5.
Great Crossing seems to be doing well up front right now. They've thrown the ball and I got a lot of pressure on them. A little bit there where Gabe had to scramble, and this time they really had a nice hole there on the backside.
That's right. They did have the one running play where Nichols ran it. He dropped back to pass, but Henry Clay is definitely on its heels right now. May not have been expecting that coming out. Nichols will at least line up to throw again. Now he'll have to get rid of it as he had two guys threatening, and he just dumped it off incomplete. A little high over there for Jarius Patterson. 3rd and 5, so no harm, no foul. You've still got 4 down territory here, really, unless you get stopped and want to try to pin them with a punt. But you're in good shape right now at the Henry Clay 37. Clock stop, 9:18 to go, first quarter. It is Caden Allen now in the backfield along with Nichols. He's got trips right. He's got Blunt to his left. He will look to the right. A little slant high for Kelly off his fingertips and could have been intercepted. Skylar Hersey was coming in a hurry, but it fell in front of him. 4th down.
This is a big down for them right here if they decide to go for it because they're going to give up some field position. But you get that in that position, it's hard not to go for it.
They've had some situations where they were stopped on downs this year. We mentioned their kicking game, but they're certainly not close enough right now. That'd be a 54-yard field goal. So they are going to go for it. Allen again, the lone back with Nichols. Nichols looks left, surveys the field, hesitates. Now over the middle again, high for Kelly. Also well defended, and it will fall incomplete. Got tangled up at the feet there. Maybe they did throw something. It's going to be against Greg Crossing and certainly be declined. Nichols had to wait a while to throw and a little bit of a hold there to give him some extra time. But Jaden Bailey breaks up the pass. Henry Clay will take over on downs. 9:07 to play first quarter. No score. Henry Clay. We'll have Malcolm Paul starting at quarterback for the second straight game. Got picked off 3 times by Catholic. He'll put it up early, find a wide open back over there on the left side across midfield. Looks like his fullback, number 44. It's Landon Barentine for a good gain of 13, maybe 14 to the Great Crossing 49. And it was Tyrus Cobbins pushing him out of bounds over there on the Henry Clay sideline.
I noticed that Fisher's not starting tonight. I think he's been a little gimpy in practice. Hopefully nothing major, but I do think we'll see him here before the game's over.
That was a slow-to-develop running play, and the Warhawks were all over it. I think it was Barentine again, or Barentine on the carry. And it's a loss of maybe 6 back to the 45. Didn't see who made the first impact there.
There's a swarm of them on the finish.
Looked like Pilot Lacosco was in the middle of it. But you're right, no Orion Fisher tonight. He is standing on the sidelines. He got a little bit banged up in week 1. Played a lot last week, got a couple of sacks, 2.5 I think he was credited with. But right now, standing at midfield on the sideline. There is another great anticipation to hold it to no gain. Caden Allen was first there. And he also got plenty of help from Strayer, Josh Strayer. He's been very impressive the first 2 weeks. Had a great game against Western Hills and backed it up again over at North Oldham. 3rd and 16 for the Blue Devils. Malcolm Paul wears number 7 for Henry Clay. He is a 6'1", 190-pound junior. He's also listed, he's a quarterback / wide receiver. He's going to get wrapped up here, maybe officially a sack as he'll lose a yard. And it was the combination of a couple of Warhawks once again, number 70 and number 50. Clay Spradlin was there along with Jesse Shaddix, and it's 3 and out for the Blue Devils.
Fisher's in now on the
special teams.
On the special team, so he's supposed to be good to go this week.
Wanted to see what they could do on the first series without him. Bird back to receive the punt. It's a wobbly one. You got to be careful it doesn't hit anybody on the leg. Takes a Henry Clay bounce out of bounds at the 12-yard line. Great Crossing will have a long way to go with 6:56 to go.
They ended up with good yardage on a pretty bad punt.
It was ugly, but it was effective.
I noticed Henry Clay's got a receiver out there. It looks at least 6'4", so that
Got
could
a target.
that could be a matchup problem for the smaller DBs for Great Crossing.
Great Crossing's second possession of the night will begin at the 12-yard line. They came out firing on the first drive. One designed run and one scramble. Everything else was a throw. They will hand it off here, just fakes the throw, and only a couple of yards up the middle, maybe to the 15.
Had a nice hold there. He just got tripped up from behind. Linebacker came through and barely got a shoestring on him.
They'll give Jaquise Patterson 2 yards to the 14. It'll be 2nd and 8. 6:40 to play, first quarter, no score. Great Crossing defense, again, pushing the opponent back. 6 yards, getting a 3 and out to give this offensive fuel. High throw, but Bird brings it in. His second catch of the quarter. He's taken down immediately at the 20. It will be 3rd and 2. I think that's a target that Gabe Nichols can feel confident in. Very sure hands out there for Mr. Bird.
He's got several of them that really can catch the ball, doesn't he, Cal?
He's got Kelly, who can do the spectacular things along with Blunt. They gave Bird forward progress to the 22 before he was pushed back. It is a first down for the Warhawks. That's their 3rd of the game. They are trying to get out of a bad spot right now as that punt backed them up. A 37-yarder when all was said and done.
Nothing there.
Nope, not much over the left side as Patterson is covered there. Henry Clay did a good job reading that one. Coming in again was number 4, Noah Dotson. Kyan Miller, multi-sport athlete for the Devils, was also in there. Starter on the basketball team as well. Big senior at 6'3", 230, tight end, D lineman. Second and 9 at the 23. 5:30 to play in the opening quarter. Fast moving so far. We get off to a late start due to the weather. There's a high snap, and Nichols falls down on top of it. Henry Clay's going to pick it up and get an easy scoop 6. Kyan Miller takes it to the house. A very short distance of 10 yards for the Blue Devils. Not what Great Crossing wanted out of the gate as they'll fall behind for the second time this season. Western Hills scored on the first play from offense, and of course they came back and put up 60 that night. So it's not a fatal flaw necessarily, but put you in a hole you didn't want to be in against a 6A opponent.
Well, we spoke earlier. I spoke about the danger of the shotgun snap, and
there it is.
There it is. You know, instead of it just landing on the ground and falling on it, it ends up being 15 yards back, scoop and score.
Kick is up and wobbles through. 7-0 Devils, 5:19 to play first quarter. With 5 minutes and 19 seconds to play the first quarter. The score, Henry Clay 7, Great Crossing 0. High snap to Gabe Nichols, and instead of being able to cover it, he slipped on the turf, and that left nothing but real estate. A short amount of it for Kyan Miller. 10-yard fumble return for a touchdown, and the Blue Devils draw first blood tonight, 7-0. This is one of those opponents that, the record hasn't been impressive the past couple of years, but we mentioned last year's game close, whether it needed to be or not, and it is, again, 6A opponent that plays a really tough schedule. You're playing the likes of Frederick Douglass and Dunbar and Bryan Station. Your record's maybe not going to be what you'd like it to be. But they're a dangerous football team with a lot of athletes, as you mentioned.
Yeah, Henry Clay always has some great athletes. They got pretty good size up front. Their numbers probably aren't what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago, but they've still got some awfully nice-looking players out there.
We'll see what Great Crossing can do from the 7-0 deficit, as we mentioned. Not the first time they've dealt with that this season, but one thing that benefited them last year is that they often got ahead of their opponents. It's much easier to play that way. Isaiah Johnson, again with a good head of steam, took this kick off the 6 and carries it all across the 30 to about the 32, where the Warhawks will go back to work.
That's nice blocking there on that kickoff return. He was just about 1 or 2 tackles away, and he could have broke that thing.
Gabe Nichols try to shake off the dust and go back to work, as nothing he could have done about that last one. High snap and just couldn't get there in time. Henry Clay had the running start.
They're missing a player.
Caden Allen running in from the sideline, and now Coach Bowling's going to have to get a timeout. Now what he wanted to do is burn one here at 5:12 of the first quarter, but no choice in the matter, as some confusion after the kickoff. We will be presenting after this game the Hoghead Trailer Sales Player of the Game to the MVP of tonight's game from Great Crossing. I want to thank all of our sponsors for making this possible. Of course, BGO presenting the Battle of Elkhorn Creek a couple of weeks ago. You can see their banners throughout the stadium. West Banco, Ozer Paint and Flooring, Kroger Hometown Pickup, Burger King, Clark's Pump and Shop, Bluegrass Orthopedics, as we mentioned, Jersey Mike's, and many, many more that we'll get to throughout the evening. Chick-fil-A of Georgetown, West Banco, Domino's Pizza, Burger King, and so many more. 1st and 10 from the 32, another juggled snap. Nichols going to cut his losses and run with it. And he'll not only run with it and get some positive yardage, he'll get a first down out to the 44. 12-yard gain for Gabe Nichols. Very light on his feet there and quick with the mind to do that, Coach.
Well, that was a good snap. I don't know if he was a little gun shy. I'm thinking it was going high, but that was a good snap. Just a little bobble, but Gabe did a good job of making something out of it.
That'll get the offense some forward motion. So hand off to Caden Allen, who's got a lot of room off the right side. Rumbling to the 35, down at the 33. Gain of 23. And Caden Allen had a huge game last year against these Henry Clay Blue Devils. They just didn't have an answer for him once he got rolling and got some room beyond the line of scrimmage. He's tough to bring down. You got to have 2 or 3 guys to do it.
He did a good job of looking inside. I think that play was probably designed to run inside, but Henry Clay did a good job of jamming it up, and he bounced it to the outside, and there was nobody out there.
First down at the 33. Great Crossing on the move. Nichols again to Allen. Feed the Bulldog out to the 21. Tripped up, but not before. Another Warhawk first down.
Same play as last time, except this time the line opened it up inside, and Caden did a good job of hitting it up in there and picking up nice yardage.
Allen, in 2 plays, has taken it from the Great Crossing 44 to the Henry Clay 21. That's 35 yards. He's got himself some momentum early. They didn't use him a ton the first 2 weeks. It's been mostly Jaquise Patterson, but we saw Henry Clay was all over him on the first couple of series, and now it's Allen's turn. He'll take it again inside the 20 to the 18.
Same play again. They found a little weakness over there. They like their matchup, and they're going ahead and just keep pounding in that same direction until they stop it.
Find an itch, you might as well scratch it. They are at the 18, 2nd and 7.
Caden's come out and Patterson's gone in.
I was going to say, after 3 quick plays like that, you might want to give the big man a breather, as he's playing on both sides of the ball tonight, as he has for most of his career here with the Warhawks. Not something you see a lot of at the 5A, 6A level, but Caden is one of those guys that can do it. Nichols rolls to his left. Lots of time. He'll have to scramble now. He'll tuck and run. No, he'll throw. Finds his man in the back of the end zone. Blunt just couldn't go up and get it. It's incomplete. He had a couple of guys there. DJ Blunt's the one that could get a hand on it. I think Jarius Patterson as well was down there. It'll be 3rd and 7. They are in Jack Harold's field goal range as they head toward the end zone on the 460 end of the field. It would be a 35-yarder, though, and they're already down a touchdown, so would be interesting to see the call. Nichols will hand off to Patterson. Looks like they're going to think of it as 4-down territory with that call, as Patterson will take it across the 15 to about the 14. It'll be 4th and a long 2.
Caden Allen's coming back in the game.
I think that's a good indication that they are going to try to hammer it up the middle and see what they can get done.
I think they may be bringing in another tight end also.
Looks like Bryce Hammond. Yes, you are correct. Got a lot of options still, though. You've got 2 in the backfield. You've got Morris and Allen. Nichols, we've already seen, can fake it and run with it, planned or otherwise. And there's another bad snap, and Nichols is going to have to eat it, and it will be Henry Clay ball. Once again, the Warhawks come away with nothing on the errant snap with 2:22 remaining in the first quarter.
I think that snap was a little off, but at the same time, I always tell my quarterbacks, you got to basically play shortstop back there.
Yeah.
And everything.
Be a wall.
Yeah, everything from the knees up to as high as you can reach, you've got to be ready for it. Not that it's Gabe's fault, but that snap's always going to go. Kind of ironic. I was talking about Henry Clay at the beginning of the game, and Gray Crossan has struggled with it so far.
Yeah. It's something at the high school level that can strike any of these teams that run this type of offense, as we were saying. And there's a quick strike for the Devils as they pick up right to the marker. It'll be a 1st down at the 33.
Fisher's in the game now.
That's good news. Straight handoff across the 35 before Lacosco and others knock down the runner. Childress, the ball carrier for Henry Clay. He's their favorite ball carrier, and they do have a favorite receiver, as you mentioned. He caught most of their passes last week. I'm trying to find the young man's name. It is Jackson Kreutzer. He is 6'3", as you said, 155 pounds and only a sophomore. There's a quick pass to the right and a 1st down across midfield and a big stick by Isaiah Johnson, but not before Henry Clay crosses the 50 to the 47. They are in Warhawk territory with a 7-0 lead and 1:02 remaining in the first quarter. Henry Clay has been impressive early against this defense that after that first series, they went backward, but they're pushing the Warhawks back now like nobody has yet this season.
They've hurt them twice pretty bad with just getting the back out into the flats. They've not had good flat coverage out there with those backs releasing.
Allen was threatening
good coverage
blitz.
there. Good coverage there.
They did a good job blocking Fisher and giving their quarterback time to throw, but he had to throw it low and incomplete as Drake Bird was right on the scene to defend.
I just saw.
Was a flag down.
It'll be interesting who they call that on, because I saw it, and the Henry Clay player smacked him in the back of the head, and then Great Crossing retaliated. So
quite often they see the retaliator.
Retaliation.
Looks right now, what way are they aiming? Yeah, I'm afraid they're going to mark it off against, or they're going to wave it off. The ball's placed at the 47.
It should be offsetting.
Yeah, maybe they'll just do that. That's the easy way out. Dead ball, personal foul, Henry Clay. Okay, so it will be marked off against the Devils, and that's costly. It's helpful to the Warhawks for sure, as all that momentum across the 50 that Henry Clay had built up, they're now back to their own 38.
Yeah, I saw it, Cal. He smacked him right in the back of the head.
Well, that's where you definitely coach your kids up to, if they do that, keep it cool, because as we said, they often do see the guy who tries to get even. Didn't happen here. 2nd and 25. Paul takes the shotgun snap, gets away from an
Good
ankle
run
tackle,
defense.
but only to the 40 is Jacob Childress. Good second effort gets him to the 43. Second, third, and fourth effort. Usually when the Warhawks gang tackle, you're dead, but he made some hay out of it to the 43-yard line. Still 3rd and 20. The final seconds of the quarter ticking off. They will probably have to run one play. The quarter clock and the play clock are just about dead even at 21 seconds.
49 has come out of the game and looks like a hand injury, maybe a finger.
Paul to throw. He's being chased by Fisher, and he just dumps it away. The Henry Clay, receiver, wanted a flag. I don't even think he's a receiver. I think he's a lineman who shouldn't be out there anyway.
That was a big penalty on him right there. That really helped Great Crossings out. They were moving the ball, and the penalty set them back, and they weren't able to recover from it.
In a big hole at 4th and 22, Henry Clay will punt. The clock stops with 2 seconds remaining in the quarter, so the punt should be the final play. Devils on top 7-0. The Warhawks have moved the ball, but have come up empty twice on downs, and the other series was a turnover deep in their territory that was a scoop and score for Kyan Miller, the only points of this game so far. Low snap, gets the punt away. Better kick as far as hang time this time. Bird will fair catch it at his 30. And the first quarter will end. Henry Clay 7, Great Crossing nothing here on the Bird's Nest Broadcasting Network. Cal Oaks along with Coach Paul Raines. Happy to be bringing you this one. The only game in town, the only game of the night. Scott County on a bye. They'll be hosting Bryant Station next week. Looking forward to that one, as I'll be back with Sam Sutton for all the action. Scott County off to a 2-0 start, creeping up the all-class rankings. I've seen a couple of places where they're back into the top 20. Early in the season, of course, everybody kind of jockeying for position. An impressive win over Franklin County and then an easy win over Lafayette. You see, Coach, Lafayette forfeited tonight to Frederick Douglass. That's kind of a tough situation to be in this early in the season. I thought we were through COVID, but I guess heard a stomach bug or something. But I think a lot of teams might want to get the stomach bug when they have to play Frederick Douglass.
That's kind of yeah.
I set you up and you didn't take the bait.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you what, I feel bad for any team that has to go in that situation.
I think from what I read, he had like 6 today, or maybe today that called in and said they weren't able to play.
I don't know. All I'm going to say is they came in here last week and had a JV varsity roster of 70 kids. So even if half of them have the flu, it's a tough situation, but you can still play the game. But I, from a human perspective, can see why you might not want to.
Yes, I can too.
Frederick Douglass is going to annihilate.
We went down there 4 years ago with all those.
Oh my gosh!
The coaches complained about freshmen and sophomores. I said you should have played our schedule with these young guns.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad for Frederick Douglass. You know, you're trying to get your team ready, and here you get a forfeit, and you're not playing. And I know Coach McPeak and Frederick Douglass has got big plans this year, and it definitely doesn't help them setting out this week.
I mean, they're basically required to play the other public schools in Lexington, and honestly, a lot of them really can't keep up with you. So you're in a situation where you're only going to play about a half anyway before your starters come out. They'll have their fair share of challenges. I think certainly in the district, Scott County and Great Crossing will push them a little bit. I think they've probably scheduled a couple other teams on there that will challenge them before they get to the playoffs.
The team of Frederick Douglass's caliber, though, it would be beneficial for them to be playing a Trinity or one of those top 20 teams here, especially early on before you hit district play, to get them ready for district and eventually for playoffs.
Trinity doesn't usually play a team from Kentucky till about week 6. Nichols throws it again high and a little bit too much mustard for Jarius Patterson. It falls incomplete. 2nd and 10. Only 4 seconds gone here in the second quarter. 7-0 Henry Clay. Defensive touchdown is the only touchdown of the game. Great crossing. It's been the story here for the last couple of weeks, especially. They've moved the football, just haven't been able to finish the drives. This one starts at their 31 after the punt to end the first quarter. Going from left to right. Patterson in motion. The other Patterson in the backfield. Nichols will fake the handoff to Jaquise and then throw it. A nice gain over the left side to Jarius Patterson. Went the other way this time to the left over toward the Henry Clay bench. And he'll have a first down at the 42.
That was a nice catch and a great move. I thought it was going to be a big hit there because he had his back turned to him. But as soon as he put that foot in the ground, he looked up, made a nice little move there, and got the extra yardage to get the first down.
You're right. He kind of had to turn around and make the catch. And you have to be a little courageous as the receiver there. You know there's going to be contact in short order. He didn't drop it, didn't hear footsteps, just tucked it away, got to the marker. Fresh set of downs for GC. 11:25 and rolling, second quarter. Couple of fakes, now straight up the middle to Caden Allen, the 40, the 30. He's gone. Caden Allen to the house, 58 yards. We're an extra point away from being tied with 11:10 to play in the half. Beautifully designed play there.
Huge hole. I could have drove my Buick through that hole. The line did a great job, and like you said, Caden hit it full throttle and did not slow down until he hit the end zone. Great crossing. He has had some success running the football this game. You know, there's been a few times that they've stopped him, but especially Caden Allen, he is having some success running the football against this Henry Clay.
He is up
defense.
Almost at 100. By my count, 93 yards on 4 carries already. Now we'll have a timeout. We have a penalty here. Sideline warning. Sideline warning. Hog isn't going to call offsides on Henry Clay. That'll move it a yard and a half closer if that's the case.
They've declined it. They don't want to get
they
any
don't
closer.
They don't want to mess things up. We got a backup kick. No, it is Harold. It's number 90. Looked like number 20 to me for a minute. Low snap. He got it down.
Great job by Drake.
The kick is good. Drake Burr. We talked about him. We said he's 3-dimensional. He's 4-dimensional. He also holds on kicks.
Yeah, that point was as much his as it was the kicker because that ball was all the way back to his backside heel where it bounced and he was able to get it on the tee and not mess the kicker up in his timing.
Great fake, great blocks. The big man, Caden Allen, was never touched on his way to a 58-yard score to tie this one up after the PAT by Jack Harold and the hold by Drake Bird. 7 apiece. 11:10 to play here on your game of the week on the Bird's Nest Broadcast Network. More sponsors, DMK CPA, Denise M. Key for all your tax and auditing needs. Galvin's on Main. That menu is just loaded with good choices. Go there after the game. Go there anytime. Hoghead Trailer Sales. We mentioned they'll be tonight's player of the game sponsor. Sword Performance, the official sports drink of Bird's Nest Athletics. Georgetown Community Hospital as well, committed to your health now and always. Spent a little more time there this summer than I wanted to. But happy to say all that is behind us. Ball is in the air. Henry Clay getting ready to set up its return at the 15. Good room up the middle, but closing quickly. The big pancake tackle coming through.
Another personal foul on Henry Clay.
Yeah, Henry Clay didn't like it. I mean, it was a perfectly legal hit by Mally Young. Malachi just knocked him off his feet.
I don't know boy's name, but he was out here wrestling around away from the play and throwing a great crossing play around like it was WCW wrestling.
That's probably going to be a half the distance from there as it's at the 29 right now. So for all intents and purposes, it'll be at the 15-yard line when Henry Clay starts the drive.
Those penalties will get you beat.
Oh, for one thing, you killed the drive when you were up 7-0 with one, and now you've just given up a score, and now you're putting yourself back in the shadow of your own goalpost.
You know, you have to be more disciplined, like you said. The thing I always told my players, it's not like you're going to hurt that guy. You got full smacking him in the helmet.
I don't think I've ever seen a football fight where someone got hurt any worse than they did with a live ball.
It really is ridiculous to be out there smacking around on each other after the play because you're not going to do any damage.
It's the adrenaline of young men playing a young men's game, I guess. That's what you get. Ball at the 14. Malcolm Paul in the spread offense. He will hand it off. Again, nothing doing. This time they will wrap him up for a loss. Multiple Warhawks there. Coming in at the end of it was, guess who? Looked like Caden Allen.
Caden Allen has turned into quite a ball player. He's got such a hips on him. You know, he is so strong and I'm sure his probably an upper body is too, but his lower body, he is really compacted and strong in there.
I like to say about him, he has never skipped leg day.
No.
Not once. And it shows. 2nd and 10. They'll mark the forward progress out to the 14. They're feeding Childress quite a bit early in this game. Now running for his life is Paul. He'll find some room on the scramble.
Great tackle.
Yes, great. Just held his spot there and waited for Paul to come to him. Zach Morris, he's another one of those guys that's a threat on both sides of the ball, and he makes a big stick there to keep it at 3rd and 8.
Open field tackling is one of the toughest things to teach.
One-on-one.
One-on-one, and he's facing a good athlete, no doubt, in that quarterback, and did a really good job.
Paul makes a miss. He might still be running. Ball's at the 17. 3rd down and 8. And this is where Great Crossing often pins its ears back and gets to the quarterback. Fisher putting on the pressure. Paul gets time to throw, but it is picked off by Malachi Young at the 40. He's to the 30. Melly to the 25. Still on his feet to the 20 before they knock him down. Malachi Young made the huge hit on special teams. Now makes the huge play on defense. And yeah, I saw somebody put a late hit on Morris out here.
I think that may have been back there near the tackle. I don't know. There's probably a lot of jawing going on if you've got already 2 personal fouls.
Yep.
Great Crossing has to make sure they can maintain their composure. I think it was against Great Crossing.
Getting a little chippy out here, and you're right. They usually balance those out, and sometimes they balance themselves out because one team gets a little frustrated.
Coach Bolin is correcting him on his execution of that penalty there.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a good way to say that.
That's a nice way to put it. Cost the Warhawks 15 yards back to the 36 at the end of the play. 1st and 10. Nichols, shotgun, will look to throw again to his right. High for Kelly, but Kelly takes it in. Makes the first man miss, makes the second man miss to the 30 before he's wrapped up. Gain of 6. Zachary Kelly's first catch of the night is Nichols has had some mustard on his throws. He's been high on a lot of them.
Roughing the passer, I think.
They come in late?
I think.
If so.
I saw the official giving a signal there.
He's now telling Henry Clay to back up.
Roughing the passer.
That'll be half the distance. And that'll take it to the 15.
Henry Clay is their own worst enemy so far in this game.
Make that the 4th personal foul of this quarter, I believe, or even maybe the first one came at the very end of the first quarter. It's been a short window here. 3 of those have been against Henry Clay. And now we've got a timeout, and the Blue Devils, I think, want to talk it over. And Coach Demetrius Gay would like to help them gain their composure a little bit. As they, as you said, 3 penalties for 45 yards in about 3 minutes of clock time. And they turn the lights on. The press box. Beautiful thing. If you're joining us and expected us to be closer to halftime, well, we started at 8 o'clock due to the weather, but things have moved along pretty quickly, except for the flags. First and 10 from the 15 for Gabe Nichols and the Great Crossing offense. Nichols under or behind center Kevin O'Doherty. He's been a rock for 4 years now in this program. And that line got it done on the Caden Allen run earlier. They're going to give it to Allen again because why not? Spins inside the 10 to the 5. Rugby scrum to the 3. Caden Allen over the century mark already. Still 8:55 to play in the first half.
What I'm noticing, Cal, is Henry Clay's defensive ends are really in a wide position, almost in a pass rush alignment, and it's really opening up some nice holes for Great Crossing inside.
Every time Allen gets the ball, he has daylight in front of him. Rarely has he had somebody coming right at him. Morris this time gets to the 1, stops shy of the goal line. It will be second, about 1.5 yards. Great Crossing threatening again.
Line it up, run it again.
That's what you got to do. You've got the horses there. You've got Morris. You've got Allen.
They got a good line surge right there.
You've got Nichols behind O'Doherty. You've got a lot of options here. Nichols coming in with the play. Exactly 8 minutes to go in the first half. 7-7, but Great Crossing threatening to take the lead here. They've had other chances, too. Been in the red zone quite a bit. Zach Morris with a walk-in. Ball's on the ground, but he crossed the plane already. Zachary Kelly picks it up. There's going to be another penalty after the play was long dead. They're going to talk it over, but the officials are going to get this under control one way or another, and the coaches have to play a role in that as well. This touchdown is going to count. The penalty will be against Great Crossing. Must be a taunting situation. If they march it off on the PAT.
They've done offsetting.
Oh, they did offsetting? Okay.
Yep.
They second one, good. He signaled to GC's side first. Thank goodness.
So what is that now, 5?
That's 5 in the last 5 minutes of football here.
I'm sure Coach Bowling will be having a talk with his players on this because we're still in the first half. It may give him a little bit more chippier in the second half, especially if Henry Clay falls behind a couple touchdowns.
They've got the lights going and the band playing, and the kick was no good. I don't know who gave them the memo or didn't give them the memo, but it's a 13-7 score as the kick goes wide. I think it confused a few people up here as well, but 13-7, Great Crossing on top for the first time tonight as they are trying to go 3-0. Similar tone to last season when they won 19-13 in this game. Malachi Young with the interception and return. It was partially wiped out by the personal foul to set this up, and then great run by Caden Allen after another penalty on Henry Clay, leading to the walk-in touchdown, 1.5 yards, call it 2 yards officially, Zach Morris. At the 7:44 mark of the second quarter. Cal Oaks, Coach Paul Raines here. Bringing you all the action. Good crowd here on the home side, and Henry Clay brought a good throng from Lexington as well to watch this one. They're trying to go 2-1 on the season. Tough one last week against Lexington Catholic. Not going to have much of an easier time with Great Crossing tonight, as physically up front, Warhawks have probably dominated this game more than the score indicates at this point.
Good kick.
Good deep kick indeed. Takes him back to his 5, backpedaling, and lots of time to get down there in coverage and throwing him. Guess who?
Drake
Number 4.
Bird.
Drake Bird with the special teams tackle. Let's take inventory so far tonight. He has caught 2 passes. He has gotten a PAT down that looked like it was dead in the water for the tying point of the game. And now on special teams, the big throwdown at the 17-yard line.
I think Henry Clay had scooted up there a little bit too far on that first kick and ended up on about the 20, 25, and he put that one over their heads. That's a dangerous position to be in on a kickoff.
You don't want to be backpedaling at the 5-yard line
No.
with the likes of Drake Bird bearing down on you. Malachi Young, Isaiah Johnson, and others. Henry Clay back to work inside its own 20. Malcolm Paul, the quarterback, running for his life right now. Fisher with pressure, more pressure.
Whoa.
And getting there and forcing the high throw is Morris. Threw it toward the Great Crossing sideline, missed his man, and Isaiah Johnson was there in coverage as well. Intended receiver was number 24, Jackson Kreutzer, his favorite target so far on the young season. 2nd and 10. Clock stops at 7:30. Henry Clay Blue Devils. This is a good rivalry in basketball. Henry Clay and Great Crossing met in the 11th region semifinals last year. Could happen again, looking at the rosters. Swing pass.
Great.
Not much there. There's a flag or a couple down. Broken tackles.
That's usually in that holding area
It is.
there.
Childress gained about 10 out near the marker, but I don't think it's going to stand. That will be illegal hands against Henry Clay. In some form or fashion, this is kind of a look at Great Crossing's football future. They are going to be in 6A beginning next year, and I don't know what district they'll put them in, but there's a good chance they'll see Henry Clay on a yearly basis, or certainly teams of their ability and athleticism and strength in this part of the state. So, good test. You saw them kind of preparing in the preseason for that. They played Madison Central and North Hardin, did the Warhawks. Ball's at the 7. It'll be 2nd and forever, 20 from there. He'll just hand it off to Childress. He'll get a little bit of forward movement past the 10 before the Warhawks swarm there. Call it the 11, 3rd and 16.
They're just not getting anything on the ground on Great Crossing.
No, and that's the 3rd consecutive opponent to find that out. Western Hills, after one play, it went for 65 yards, went backwards for the game. North Oldham went backwards for the game completely, -3 on 11 carries. And now, just not much there for Henry Clay. And plus, they're behind the chains, for the most part, self-inflicted. Low snap to Paul. He'll have to get rid of it. Throws it deep left over everybody. Kreutzer was down there, but so were Young and Johnson, and Henry Clay will punt it from its own end zone, or near there. 6:21, the time in the second quarter. Warhawks with a chance to perhaps build on a 13-7 lead before intermission here. See if they can get to the punter and put some pressure on, but of course, if Henry Clay punts to Drake Bird, anything's possible here. Coming up the middle, didn't get a piece of it, but certainly put some pressure on. It'll take another Henry Clay bounce to the Devils' 46, where it will roll dead, and Great Crossing will have a short field to work with 6:10 to play in the first half.
That was another one of those 15-yard punts and end up getting 40 out of it.
His net yardage is going to look okay. They haven't been able to muster one of those returns tonight, and boy, they've been more effective than they have been beautiful. That is for sure. Henry Clay's needed it because they haven't had much field position. They got their points on a 10-yard fumble return by Kyan Miller. Offensively, just not much there. Once again, Great Crossing shutting down its opponent. Running and passing. Nichols will hand it off to Johnson, who's in the game on offense for the first significant appearance, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage. Coming up the middle for Henry Clay, doing a good job stuffing the run, is number 66, Ali
Dave Nichols
Gay.
is hurt.
Uh-oh. Caden Bays coming into the game as Nichols tried to go to the sideline and just fell down.
I think it looks like maybe an ankle.
Yeah, he is holding his ankle. That's not good. I have been impressed with Bays in the amount of time I've seen him against Western Hills when the game was already out of control.
What grade's he in, Cal?
Bays, I believe, is a sophomore. He is indeed 5'9", 150 pounds. Of course, the JVs picked up a 13-0 win over Scott County this week, and I'm sure Bays was the quarterback in that one. Nichols, a little gimpy, but walks off under his own power, trying to shake off whatever it was.
Put a little tape on it. It'll be good to go. Back when I played, Cal, they had what they called cold spray.
Yeah, exactly.
And you go over and you frost it, and then everything was fine.
We
at
had,
least they told you that anyway.
We had stuff called Kramer G-Sick. It was like icy hot.
Yeah, we had some of that too. That was dangerous.
Yeah, man. For one thing, you'd get high. Secondly, you wouldn't feel anything once you put it on your skin for a while. Up the middle again, Caden Allen spinning to the 40. I would just keep feeding number 23.
I would just keep, as long as he can.
Especially if Nichols is on the sideline. Yeah. Don't do anything silly here.
Yeah, as long as he can keep running like that and he can hold up, I just keep handing him the field.
100+ yards in the first half. And he has, as you said, there have been some lanes wider than I-75 under construction.
Offensive line's doing a really good job.
Another handoff to Allen.
Face mask.
It looked like, yeah, several flags coming in.
Oh, there's another punch. There's another personal foul.
And that was Henry Clay just after the play. Number 6 just went after.
Punched him right in the head.
I mean, that should be an ejection. I mean, a closed fist is an ejection. I don't know if they'll call that, but it certainly was of that nature. Zach Kugel just got popped in the mouth. Fortunately, he had his helmet on.
Again, no damage done.
No.
It's other than 15
probably a
yards.
little jarring at the moment. Didn't see it coming. And of course, we're not privy to anything that was said. They could say, well, there was...
So I think you're going to have a face mask and then a personal foul tacked on would be a dead ball foul.
I would think that'll be the 15-yard variety, which they're marked at the 38. So that's going to go to the 23. Yeah, they called 2 personal fouls there. So they'll mark off 50, and that's an ejection. The punch is an ejection. Donovan Cowan looks like the player that'll be ejected, a 6'3", 185-pound senior.
What's he play, Cal?
He is a linebacker. So the first one will be 15. The second one will be half the distance. And when all is said and done, Henry Clay has really just inflicted a lot of damage on itself. The ball is at the 14. And Gray Crossing in good position here to build on a 13-7 lead, make it 2 scores going into the half, or at least with very little time to play in the half. We had people from outside running in here telling us we had a hot mic. We're not the announcers, so I don't know what was said over the stadium mic, but it wasn't us.
Coach Boland right now maybe again reiterating what he's already told them is that you got to keep your composure. There's things going on in the field that shouldn't be going on. And
and this is where this is a test for you as a team. Even though you're not the ones instigating it, you've got to be careful that you don't retaliate, get ejected, and then you're out next week for a road game.
Who do they have next week, Cal?
Is it East Jess? I believe it's whichever Jessman they've been playing the
Keith
past few
Jessman.
years. Yeah. Again, it's one of those you feel like if they take care of business, they should be all right. And then they'll be getting into districts shortly thereafter. They got Bourbon County at home the week after that, and then districts. I think they might have a bye before that. They probably have a bye coming right before Scott County, which will help them out, get them healthy. Same scenario as last year. They're trying to be 5-0 going into that game. Stop looking at us. We're not the live mic. We're the radio broadcast. Up the middle is Patterson. And spinning into the end zone. Jaquise Patterson. First effort, second effort, third effort. Takes it to the house from 14 yards. What a run.
Nice run. And again, you got to give compliments to that right side of that offensive line because that is where they've hurt them at. The entire game is running off that right side.
PAT, Harold will try to make it 20-7. Kick's good. 20-7 with 4:45 to play in the second quarter. Six personal fouls and an ejection so far for Henry Clay. So yeah,
they're having a team meeting over there, Cal.
A come to Jesus meeting in front of the Henry Clay bench.
That's been the difference in this game.
Oh yeah, I mean you give a team 90 yards that already has a lot of advantages over you. You're in trouble. I mean you have to. You're going on the road against a team that's probably favored. You got to play your best. You can't leave stuff on the table like that. And that means turnovers and penalties most of the time, or what will come back to bite you. They took advantage of the turnover early, but since then they have just lost their mind in a few key spots. 20 unanswered points for the Warhawks. Will kick it away with a 20-7 lead. Jack Harold trying to boot it deep once again. Another good kickoff over the returner's head. He's going to have to take it on the hop at the 3-yard line. Here comes Young and others to wrap it up at the 15. Lacasco was there.
We have another flag down.
What a surprise.
I believe those kick returners ought to back up just a smidge.
Yeah, I think they might want to respect number 90. They see that number and they think, okay, we got an offensive lineman kicking off. No, you've got a guy that was probably a soccer player at one time kicking off. They're going to put it down. I guess no penalty. They're going to mark it at the 17. But once again, lousy field position for the Blue Devils to start it out. They trail 20-7, 4:39 to play. Cal Oaks, Coach Paul Raines here at Bird's Nest Stadium. Week 3 football, beautiful Friday night after the Lightning went by us. And the Warhawks have been in control most of the way, other than one early turnover. Quick pass and a quick wrap up at the 20, gain of 3. Looked like Zach Morris over there again to make the stop.
That's all you need on that short passing game. Just get good, sure tackling, and it's hard to be patient enough and be accurate enough to continue to do that all the way down the field.
They'll mark it at the 21. It is 2nd and 6, but Henry Clay has been in a lot of 2nd and 15 and 2nd and 20 tonight. They won't gain anything on the run there. Lacasco. Jesse Shaddix was there as well. 3rd and 6. Henry Clay has just not gotten anything going offensively. And they're in a spot where they need to, or at least run some time off the clock, keep the Warhawks off the field. Paul will roll to his left and run for his life and get swarmed. Fisher made the last hit.
The defensive end on this side did a great job of containing him, and there was great coverage on it. There was nobody open.
Clay Spradlin was there as well. Thrown back for a loss of double digits to the 11, 12-yard line. They're going to come after him. They won't get it. Bird, well, he just let it die at the 40. Not as good a roll this time. It'll stop at the 41. Henry Clay, player there, trying to wave it along.
Great field position, 2:35 on the clock. We might be able to get one in again before the half.
(20-7) lead and a chance to grow it even more here. Gabe Nichols, that's good to see. As you said, put some tape on it. He's probably fine. It's one of those games where everybody's playing hurt at a certain point in the season. You don't want it to be week 3, but you said Fisher banged up a little bit. He's playing tonight. Nichols doing the same on the offensive side. Wouldn't be bad. Get some younger guys some reps, certainly, but Henry Clay's a dangerous team. I thought they had him down and out last year, and the Devils just hung around. Nichols with 2 backs. Caden Allen has had himself a career in the first half on the hard count. Draws 2 Devils to jump early, and that will move 5 yards closer. To the 36. Man, I cannot wait to see the penalty yardage at halftime. It's got to be around 100. I know it's at least 90. There were a couple of offsetting that don't count toward the total. Nichols to throw it high again and misses Patterson out of the backfield, Jaquise. But that's a good, you say in baseball, a good waste pitch. That's 1st and 5. You can afford to take a little shot there, and you still got a lot of advantages here as far as play call. Clock stopped at 2:31. Blunt is split out to the left. Kelly to the right. Dylan Lay in the backfield along with Jaquise Patterson. It will be Patterson. Lots of room over the 30, the 25, up to the 20 before he's tripped up. Call it the 21, but it's a gain of 15.
Line up, run it again. I'm old school.
Keep on, yeah. You and me both. I don't have too much pride. Whatever works, keep running it.
That right side, they're just killing them on that side of the ball.
Some serious advantages there. It's been all night long. And look, they even line up. There's a lot of room there, and it doesn't close. Patterson had 5 yards before he even got touched. He's to the 15. 2nd and 4.
They've got 2 timeouts left. I think they can just take and run this thing right on in and leave no time left on the clock.
Be an ideal situation. Henry Clay will get the kickoff to start the second half. Taking their time, 1:33 and counting. Still 19 seconds on the play clock. Lay and Patterson in the backfield with Nichols, who looks over to the sideline. Got Blunt split to the right now, Kelly to the left. He will look to both sides, sees nothing, keeps it to the 15, tries to get out of bounds. They're going to wind the clock. He's at the 14.
Minute 11.
Still got the 2 timeouts, as you mentioned. The clock is at 1:05 right now, 3rd and 3. Still no great rush here. Zach Morris will check in.
Get it snapped.
47 seconds. Yeah, now they're going to call a timeout. And frustrating as a coach when you see that because you're trying to, it's a tough situation. You're trying to manage this clock so you don't give them any time, but you also don't want to leave yourself short. 41.7 seconds. That'll take them down to 1 timeout. They've got 3 yards to get the first down. They can get a first down and still not be in the 1st and goal situation because the marker's at about the 11 and a half. 20-7 your score. Great Crossing leads Henry Clay. Henry Clay jumped out early on a defensive touchdown, but it's been all Great Crossing since, helped by some penalties. Some great runs by Caden Allen and Jaquise Patterson. As that part of Great Crossing's game has been effective but not explosive, and tonight it's been explosive. Zach Morris. Looks like Caden Allen in the backfield.
Caden Allen off the right side.
I've got to like the chances of that happening and it being successful. Here you go. To the 10. Spins at the 5. In for the touchdown. Caden Allen.
Penalty.
Oh, no. Well, maybe that's why. I mean, that's not why there was such a big hole because there have been big holes all night, but it might have made it bigger than it needed to be. We'll see. And it's going to wave off the touchdown. 10 yards from the spot. It's going to be 3rd down, and there will be 35 seconds to go. Ball marked at the 21, 3rd and 10. Nichols rolls to his left. He's got a couple of guys down there. A low throw for Blunt at the front pylon, incomplete, 4th down. And now do you kick it? It'll be a 38-yard field goal, and Jack Harold comes onto the field. So here we go. That could make it a 16-point game, which would be 2 scores and two-point conversions. So you just got to be careful not to get it blocked. You've given up a defensive touchdown. You don't want to give up a special teams touchdown. They'll put the tee down or the soft tee down at the 29. It'll be a 39-yard attempt. The hold, Drake Bird. He's done a good job getting it down tonight. We will see what they can do here. Harold hit a 42-yarder a week ago, missed a 41-yarder. This one is wide and short. Ball will come out to the 20 with 23.9 seconds left. Not a lot of time for Henry Clay, considering haven't done much offensively, even with a normal amount of time tonight. So the lead holds at 20-7, under 30 seconds to play. Henry Clay could probably kneel on it if they wanted to play it safe. They'll have the ball to start the second half, in theory. Paul will pick the snap up off the turf and hand it to Childress, who plows forward to the 25, and probably that will be the final play of the half. Henry Clay, no sense of urgency here. And time will tick away. Your halftime score, the Great Crossing Warhawks 20, the Henry Clay Blue Devils 7. Other than one miscue on the offensive side that turned into 6 points, 7 points ultimately for Henry Clay, it has been all great crossing. So we'll have the halftime break, hopefully have some stats. I can assure you Caden Allen is up over the 100-yard mark rushing. He has the long touchdown. Jaquise Patterson with a score. Zach Morris with a score, so they've spread it around. Defensively, a couple of sacks have put Henry Clay behind the 8 ball. And lots of penalties have put the Devils in a bad spot.
Caden Allen's put on quite a show here the first half.
I remember last year's game. It was by committee, but Caden Allen was the guy that Henry Clay had the toughest time bringing down. And this has been his coming out game on offense this year as well. I haven't seen a lot of Caden Allen. They've gone heavily with. They really have to go heavily with anybody against Western Hills. It was over before it started. But last week, Patterson with the 19 carries for upwards of 80 yards. Allen and Morris got a little bit of work, but by and large tonight, although the scoring has been spread around, the yardage has been the Allen show. Henry Clay had a little bit of yardage from Childress early in the game, but we've got the play-by-play here. We'll get the stats coming out at us shortly.
Is there any water in there? Wonderful. Is there any water?
The Great Crossing Band will entertain us during halftime. Saw the cheerleaders and the dance team here as well. Some younger kids with both those groups. It's all about tradition here on Friday Night Lights, whether you're players or supporting cast. Love to see them get into it at an early age. We've got a water delivery here, which is more than welcome at this point.
Here you go. Give us your halftime analysis.
And the stats have arrived. Caden Allen, 6 carries, 114 yards, including a 58-yard touchdown. That's an average of 19 yards a pop. Jaquise Patterson, 7 for 47. He's averaging 6.7, including a 15-yard touchdown. Zach Morris with the 2-yard plunge. Henry Clay, 11 carries, 5 net yards. That has been largely because of a couple of sacks. Spradlin, Shaddix, Fisher in on those. It's been a good night offensively, especially on the ground, as we mentioned for Great Crossing. The total yardage is 194 to 49 right now.
What's the penalty count?
Oh, yes, 5 for 81. But again, there were a couple of offsetting situations. So the flags have been actually more than that. But, you know, when you're 5 for 81, they're all either 15 or half the distance 15.
And the timeliness of them has been disastrous for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, probably their best offensive movement of the night was set back and ultimately thwarted by one of those 15-yard penalties. They ended up in a 2nd and 25 situation after they had crossed midfield and had to punt. That was late in the first quarter. The second quarter was just a disaster for the Blue Devils as one flag after another. They had a key defensive player ejected, and it has been downhill from there.
It's like you said, Cal, they were already probably behind the 8 ball when they came in this game against Great Crossing, and then when you don't do yourself any favors by getting personal fouls, and you're in trouble, and you're down 20-7. A lot of that is because of that.
Great Crossing hasn't really needed the passing game to be overly efficient tonight, but Gabe Nichols 4 for 11. He's been high on a few throws, but again, that's just a timing thing that will come here as the season goes along, I think. Drake Bird, 2 catches for 18. Jarius Patterson and DJ Blunt, the others. Zachary Kelly, I remember him having one, but I think it might have been wiped out by a penalty. The Warhawks haven't punted. Henry Clay has booted it away 3 times for 99 yards, and a lot of those on the bounce. They have not been pretty. That's about the size of it. First down's 13-3, as you might expect in GC's favor. What do you tell if you're Henry Clay's coach? What do you say in a situation like this to your team? I mean, at some point you say, "Look, guys, we gotta cut the funny stuff, right?"
Yeah, and I really, in looking at some game film, I didn't notice that many personal fouls in the games that I watched. Sometimes you can't tell it because it's cut up in between downs. But he's already had that discussion with him over there, but maybe too little, too late in that situation. But if I'm Great Crawford, they could end up losing somebody next week if they go on to win this game.
Yeah, you got to be careful, as we've said a couple of times. That's what they see is the guy retaliating, and in most cases tonight, that would be Great Crossing. So you got to be careful.
Big thing too, Henry Clay's got to get a running game going. Great Crossing's pretty much been able to turn their heels back and come after the passer now here late in the game in the half, and secondary is ready for the pass and playing the pass. We had great coverage on the last several pass plays that Henry Clay has thrown, and that's largely due to the fact they don't have a running game, and those DBs are not having to come up and support the run.
Yeah, Childress 7 for 18, and it's just hard to have a running game when it's 2nd and 20 and third and 18. You just can't consistently call those plays. You're kind of putting your quarterback in a tough situation. Paul's been running for his life. He knows he doesn't have much time to throw back there against Great Crossing. He's got Fisher coming at him. He's got Shaddix. He's got Spradlin. He's got Morris. You name it. And it has been he doesn't have time to count to 3, and he's in a lot of trouble. He's been 4 from -13, and 3 of those have been sacks. So the band giving us a show here under the Friday night lights. Haven't had time to look at a lot of out-of-town scores. I don't know if games started on time elsewhere. End of the third quarter, defensive struggle in the holy war between Lexington Catholic and Covington Catholic. 6-0. The boys from the 859 on top there with a quarter to play.
Who did Dunbar have tonight?
That's a good question. They have Station.
Seems like I remember seeing Herald Leader as the game of the week or something like that. They
Let's see.
picked that game.
Let's go.
They had a big write up on
LCA is up 13-0 on Belfry. That must have started late because it says first quarter. Oh, actually, that's much later than that now. 28-0 second quarter. Woodford and Dunbar. Woodford's up 28-7. They just returned the second half kickoff for a touchdown.
Woodford's got last year and this year they've got quite the team. I think they've got a lot of returners coming back from what I've read today about it. And Coach Johnson's done a good job of getting that program back on track and really even taking it to new heights last year.
St. X wins 24-10 tonight at Mail in a battle of 2 of the Louisville Powers. Excuse me. That's 15 in a row for St. Xavier.
Mail's had their way with the 2 big Louisville Powers the last several years, but I think I heard through the coaching grapevine that they'd lost like 4 or 5 of their top players.
Mail took a loss to Ballard last week, which is the first time in many years. Ballard's going to be coming in here to play Scott County this year, and they could be one of the better teams in 6A. So yes, that'll be fun.
Yes.
Madison Southern with a surprising 8-7 lead over Madison Central at halftime. That'll be an interesting one to watch. I would have expected Central to, even though it's a rivalry game, to have its way in that one.
That would be a huge upset if Southern were to pull that out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've had a lot of games in this area delayed by the weather, so hard to. Hard to tell what's going on and what isn't at this time, but my timeline is a mess because I follow a lot of people up in my old part of the world, and they're starting their season tonight up there in New England. So
Kentucky
I've
starts
got
probably earlier than any state
yeah, I was
in
going
the
to say
United
two
States.
or 3 weeks ahead of a lot of people. Most places start on Labor Day weekend. It seems like. Bowling Green up 7-0 on PRP, but that was a long time ago. So that might have 31-7 Bowling Green in that one. PRP had been off to a good start this year, but that would be an impressive win for the 5A Purples. Boy, 5A is a loaded division, isn't it?
It is a loaded
Well, you
division.
mentioned Woodford County. You've got Covcath, you've got Highlands, you've got just so many. Throw Bowling Green and South Warren and Scott County and et cetera, et cetera.
From what I
Great
hear,
Crossing.
Highlands is on their way back. I know a good friend of mine is Bob Spire, used to be at Lexington Catholic. Then he was down at North Gwinnett, Georgia, and had great success down there, and has come back to Kentucky and leading the Highlands program. And I heard they had 56 freshmen, I think, whenever Great Crossings went up there. And Great Crossings played them down to the very final play, and they had a chance to win the game. So it says a lot about Fort Thomas Highlands, but it also says a lot about the future of Great Crossings football program.
And of course, I mentioned them earlier. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention now Frederick Douglass also at 5A. It's certainly probably, at least in the preseason, ranked number one in that group. So it's going to be a crazy playoff. A little different this year. It'll be set by RPI a little earlier than it has in the past. So maybe you won't have some of these teams from the same district taking each other out as early as they have. So it's good news for people like Scott County and Great Crossing, certainly.
Well, it's nice to play somebody different when you get in the playoffs. You don't need to turn around and play the same team.
I think
and a lot of those games, you're playing that team like on that 9th or 10th week and then turning around and playing them 2 weeks later.
You just didn't need to see that. And by and large, I think that's what coaches want, is to play someone different. At least give yourself a chance to get a little later on before you're having rematches. Because so much can happen when you just played a team. I mean, how many times do you see if you have a situation like that where a team wins in week 9 or week 10 or whatever you want to call it, and then turns around the playoffs and it's a complete flip of the script, and it's just hard to back it up, and it's hard to be in that situation against a team that's essentially a rival. So next week, Scott County will be here hosting Bryan Station. Great Crossing will go to East Jess. They'll be back at home in 2 weeks to face Bourbon County. This schedule, again, is pretty favorable. You get through tonight, you would think the Warhawks would be favored the next 2 weeks, then have a bye, and then play Scott County and Douglas after that down the road. So both those games will be here at the Bird's Nest as well. So if you must play Douglas, you might as well do it at home, right?
That's the way to go.
It seems like Great Crossing has been on the road almost every time the past 3 years when they played them, but it will be no trip necessary this year. 20-7, your halftime score, as we're getting ready for second half action. The teams have taken the field.
Big game here tomorrow morning. Coach Schaffner from
freshman game.
Yeah, freshman game.
Battle of the Birds, 10 a.m.
Had me a little breakfast, then just head this way and watch a little football.
I don't know if they'll play each other twice again this year or not. That's been a fun little November event too. Is they've had the early season game and then they've played the rematch the past couple of years. But also in the area tomorrow, home opener for Georgetown College. They're going to honor former Detroit Lion Bruce McNorton as he will get his Kentucky Football Hall of Fame jacket presented to him before the game. And it's also the first home game for Coach Chris Oliver. Georgetown beat Kentucky Christian 42-13 a week ago yesterday in its opener. So plenty of good football in the area tomorrow, and of course on your TV screen as well. Is UK and Miami of Ohio will get it on. It's supposed to be about a sellout, isn't it?
It is a sellout.
They finally announced the final 200 or so tickets have been sold.
That's the first time in a long time. I'm not forget what the years are that the home opener has been a sellout.
A sellout against a MAC team. I mean, that's pretty good. There are a lot of
big expectations this year for the Cats.
Say, when you're usually they have to get off to that manageable 3-0, 3-0, 4-0 start before they get ranked. Now they're ranked in the preseason, and with that, you're right, comes a lot of expectations. But
did you watch the backyard brawl last night?
I got home just in time to watch the end of Penn State Purdue. It was good to see Caleb Perry not only get on the field, but do some nice things for the Vols last night. A couple of quarterback hurries.
Representing Great Cross.
Started on special teams.
Got in a little bit on defense, from what I was told.
He's going to do some great things there. They're already very impressed with his they've noted the freakish athleticism. They want to put some more weight on him at the linebacker position.
We won't recognize him in about 2 years. He'll come into town and we'll just say, who is that big guy?
The same thing will be true for Ryan Fisher when he gets to wherever he commits to shortly. They will put some weight on his 6'6", 6'7" frame, and he won't look like the same person.
These college programs all have their own nutritionists now, and of course they've always had the meal table, but the amount of calories that they put in these college players is mind-boggling to get them up to the weight that they need to be at in order to compete at that level.
Brian Hudson, speaking of big guys, will be the starting center for Louisville as they go into their ACC schedule.
Fine young man there.
Boy, don't get any better. He started 10 or 11 games as a true freshman at Virginia Tech, and that was a tough situation there. A lot of things unraveled in that program in a short amount of time. It's good to see him closer to home and making an impact, and he's got 2 years of eligibility left and will do great things. A lot of talent in general coming out of Central Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, seeing it manifest itself at the next level right now. "24 minutes to play here. Great Crossing nursing a 20-7 halftime lead. Henry Clay will receive.
This first opening drive will be very important for Henry Clay to see if they can get the momentum switched back over.
You just got to see if you're Henry Clay, you got to try to move the chains in the running game a little bit and take some pressure off of Malcolm Paul, who he's their, like I said, their second quarterback, and he's been not gifted with a lot of time to throw out there tonight. Harold will kick it away. Another good kickoff, and Henry Clay finally fields it on the fly at its own 9. Good return up to the 30, one of their best of the night. And the flag comes in, a couple of them. I don't know if they're going to get a hold or a horse collar or what we're going to get. We'll see.
Pilot Lacosco hit one of the blockers going down the field. And I kid you not, he knocked him 4 yards on his back of his head.
And he's kind of questioning the official. He says, "Is it me? Is it me?" Yeah. We'll see what they
It
call
was
it.
thrown over there away from him. I don't think
Yeah.
it was probably a hold, I would think, on kickoff.
Looks like
Was there 3 flags thrown? I've seen one putting them in the pocket and 2 on the ground.
Looks like they're, what are they doing?
Targeting.
Targeting again. Well, they are going to get it on Lacosco, I guess. And now there's a personal foul. They're going to get it on somebody in the green. Is that going to end up being 30 yards worth of penalties?
Well, I said this opening drive is important, and that sure did not help anything right there.
40, 45,
They're
keep
taking
going,
it.
50. It's going to end up at the 40-yard line of Great Crossing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That may be the longest. The referee had to take a water break there in between the start and the finish of that penalty walk-off.
That is the best field position by far that the Henry Clay offense has had tonight. The defense picked one up and ran with it from the 10, and that's the reason the Devils are on the board right now. Malcolm Paul couldn't ask for better field position than that. High snap, he'll get rid of it quickly and way overthrown toward his own sideline. Incomplete, second down.
The snap again, when you're trying to pass the ball and you've got to reach and set your feet, that throws the whole timing off of the play.
And as the quarterback when you're playing against a team like Great Crossing, you're already panicked because you know you got to get rid of that ball in short order. And then if you're juggling the snap, it's even, you're in more of a tizzy at that point.
Yes. He really had to get that out quick because he knew he had bobbled the snap, and he really rushed the throw just a little bit and wasn't able to get it under control.
2nd and 10, no harm done. He'll hand it off to Childress, churns forward for about 3 before he meets the heart of the Great Crossing defense. It'll be 3rd and 7. So Great Crossing defense in a spot it hasn't been all night, with its back to the end zone on its own end of the field.
3rd down.
4-down territory for the Devils, certainly, trailing by 2 scores, 11:25 to go, 3rd quarter. Their punt game, while effective, has not been pretty, and they've been living on the edge with it. So I think you'd have to go for it here if you don't get it on 3rd down. Unless there's a sack, which Paul will get rid of it, complete it for a 1st down and more up to the 26. Tackles made there, but not before number 24 makes the grab and moves the chains. Jackson Kreutzer, he's been the favorite receiver, the sophomore, rangy at 6'3", but hasn't had a lot of time to get open tonight. He gets one there and a gain of 11 to the 26-yard line. So Henry Clay on the move with a minute gone here in the 2nd half. Devils trail 20-7. But a couple of personal fouls on the kick return. And the tables have turned a little bit, as in the 1st half, it was Henry Clay that got wounded badly by such flags. Quick throw again to Kreutzer. Good stiff arm, but Blunt right there to wrap him up.
Yeah, 2-yard gain maybe. Good open field tackling.
Using DJ Blunt's skills on both sides of the ball now are the Warhawks. It is 2nd and 8. Malachi Young was also over there to help. He had an interception in the 1st half, set up a score. 2 minutes gone, 10 to play in the 3rd quarter. Great Crossing leads 20-7, but it's Henry Clay ball at the GC 24. Slow developing running play, but Childress sweeps to the left and has a lot of room at the corner. Inside the 10, it'll be 1st and goal. He's finally brought down at the 6. Malachi Young was there along with Orion Fisher. The best running play of the night. Gains 18 for Childress. Jacob Childress. Henry Clay threatening now. 4 plays to punch it in from the 6.
The running back did a good job of bouncing out. There was, again, nothing inside. That's where the play was designed to go. But he saw daylight on the outside and was able to hit the flank.
Malcolm Paul with Childress, the lone setback. Paul rolls to his right. Giving chase is Allen and forces the throw way out of bounds, incomplete. Caden Allen's had a big night on both sides.
He'll sleep well tonight.
Yes, he will. And he'll be in the weight room at 8 o'clock in the morning, probably. Some tireless players on this Great Crossing Warhawk offense and defense. Then you got a guy like Drake Bird that plays in all phases. Clock stop, 9:11 to play, third quarter, 20-7. Good guys on top, but Henry Clay threatening to cut into this lead. Paul, looks like a draw play, but he just saw no daylight whatsoever.
Tackled by
Gang Green closed on him in a hurry. Lacosco, Spradlin, and company. Third and goal. Loss of 1, back to the 7. Got to watch Childress again, I think. This might be territory where you can run the ball, but Paul will throw it way high. Kreutzer got his fingertips on it, but good defense there. Glued to his man.
Is that Cobbins?
That is Tyrus Cobbins. He is defense only this year after playing a lot of running back the past couple of seasons. And he's making the most of that opportunity. 4th and goal from the 7. Henry Clay will not kick. They are going for it. Field goal didn't do you a lot of good at this point. Your offense has finally got something going. But they've hit the wall here. Paul rolls right. Threw it where only his man could go get it, and he went and got it. Touchdown, Henry Clay. Is that Kreutzer?
Hard to tell on that side of the field.
It's awfully dark over there, and he won't turn around. Yeah, they're saying in the other parts of the press box he scooped it off the ground, but it's hard to tell. I think that's Jackson Kreutzer.
Yeah, we don't have a good vantage point. The
number 24. Certainly the guy he looks to. $8:19 to play, and Henry Clay has tightened it up here in the third quarter. They will kick the PAT. And it is good, 20-14. Pretty much a new ball game here as the penalties come back to bite the Warhawks. 30 yards worth of them on the kick return. Sliding catch over there by, we think, Jackson Kreutzer on the far pylon, front pylon. So that is a statement drive from Henry Clay. Regardless of the penalties, their offense hadn't done much all night long. And they, as we said, had to get the running game going and did there just enough. Story of this game, no matter who ends up coming out on top, is going to be the penalties. Certainly a lot of Great Crossing's points in the first half were helped along by the laundry, and the same goes here for Henry Clay's opening statement of the second half. 20-14 your score. Great Crossing on top, your game of the week. Cal Oaks along with Coach Paul Raines here on the Bird's Nest Broadcasting Network.
That was a big score, big drive.
Henry Clay right back in it.
Yep.
This is reminiscent of last year. Great Crossing had a lead, kind of let off the gas a little bit. Next thing you know, kick return out to the 35, so decent field position for the Warhawks there as Drake Bird on the return. So on that kick return, we saw the targeting signal. I don't know, the second one was a late hit or just unsportsmanlike conduct or taunting or what it was. But in any case, gave Henry Clay the ball on the good side of the 50 all the way down to the Great Crossing 40, and they made the most of it. Now we'll see what the Warhawks have for an answer. 8:13 to go, third quarter. Gabe Nichols back to work. Trips to the right. Bird, Kelly out wide. Blunt in the slot. Instead, he'll go deep to the left. Good coverage by Henry Clay. It will fall incomplete. Actually, it was Blunt down there on that side. It was Patterson, the third man over here. But Devils saw that one all the way and knocked it down. It'll be 2nd and 10. Be interesting to see what adjustments Henry Clay has made to stop the running game. They didn't unveil it there. Certainly that's been the strength for Great Crossing tonight. They will hand it off here, and again, a lot of room over the middle. Isaiah Johnson spins across the 40, past the 41. It will be 3rd and short, call it 4. So a gain of 6.
Pounding the right side again.
Isaiah Johnson, only his 2nd carry of the night. So this by-committee system has worked for Great Crossing through most of its history, especially last year and this year. We saw Allen and Patterson split it up pretty evenly in the first half. Allen got the lion's share of the yardage, helped by a 58-yard touchdown. Now it's Johnson, and now jumping. Blunt got drawn off.
Now the wide receiver, Kelly, took off running down the field on that play.
Thought Henry, I don't know if he thought the count was, I don't know if he was listening to his QB or he was watching Henry Clay flinch a little bit or what happened, but he was taking off.
That wide receiver's got to watch the ball.
He was number 2. I don't know if it was Kelly. I saw Blunt on the far side take off as well. So they'll lose 5 of the 6 that Johnson gained. It's 3rd and 9, and not what you want coming out of the half with your first possession, trying to maintain this lead, 20-14. Little middle screen to Isaiah Johnson, breaks the tackles, can't spin away from the second one, and he stops shy of the marker at the 43. Great tackle there by Henry Clay's Nash Dotson. 4th and 2. Great Crossing is going to have to punt for the first time tonight. Jesse Fair, the 6'3", 154-pound sophomore. And Henry Clay got to be feeling good about itself. It gets a touchdown, it gets a stop, and we'll have the ball with a chance to take the lead in this game. Good hang time for Fair on that kick. Takes a Henry Clay bounce. Fisher will slap it dead at the 35, and that's where Henry Clay will take over. So a 3 and out. Again, the penalty costly. .6:16 to play third quarter as Henry Clay's offense goes back to work. Handoff, Childress. Rugby scrum at the 37. They finally blow it dead. About 18 of the 22 players on the field were in that stack. They'll credit him at the 38. They'll credit Morris with the first impact, and it will be 2nd and 7. Again, Childress, not much there, but he pushes forward close to the 40. So Henry Clay getting enough running game now to keep Great Crossing honest. It will be probably a passing down here, 3rd and a long 5. Actually, they'll mark it right at the 40, so it's 3rd and a garden variety 5. Henry Clay dominating the time of possession here so far in the second half. And the penalties have hurt Great Crossing. Paul throws quickly. Kreutzer, good catch. Had to go up and get it. First down at the 48. They're finally getting their favorite target, Jackson Kreutzer, into the game. Finding different places to line him up and make him dangerous.
He had to really go up to get that ball.
He can go down and get it. He can go up and get it. He has shown that so far tonight. Clock ticks down to the 4:30 mark in the third quarter. Henry Clay, 2 yards away from the midfield stripe. Trying to drive to a go-ahead touchdown here as Great Crossing. The air's gone out of the balloon a little bit. Low snap, takes it in. New running back in the game. He sees some positive yardage across midfield, across the 45. Good gain on first down. It's Jaden Bailey. He's a senior. 5'10", 175 pounds. 2nd and 3. Bird made the tackle. Under 4 minutes to play. The winds have changed here in the second half, no question, as Henry Clay is dictating things right now. Low snap, picks it up off the turf, but nothing there. Almost escaped. Reinforcements come to help as Strayer and Spradlin take down Bailey at midfield. So it's a loss of 5. Excuse me, I called Jesse Shaddix Clay Spradlin. This is Jesse Shaddix, number 70. Another tackle for loss for this Warhawk defense. That's made an art form of them this past season and a half, especially. We'll need one here to stop the Devils. Paul will throw deep over the middle. Had his man, but just over his fingertips. Had a tight end down there.
He was open.
He sure was. Had him beat. Landon Barentine, 200-pound tight end, a senior, but
that's one
just
of those
couldn't run
balls
under
where
it.
you need to put a little bit more touch on it,
A little bit of air,
and let him adjust to it and not have to make it pinpoint pass that way.
Henry Clay will punt and try to pin Great Crossing here. Is a big stop for the Warhawks. That second down play was huge. And again, the low snap, cost Henry Clay there.
Whoa.
There's a high snap on the punt. He gets it away. Bird, directing traffic, will pick it up on the hop at the 15. Breaks one tackle, runs into his own man, and gets stopped shy of the 20. So
that was a good job by Drake catching that ball on the bounce there, because
it could have ended up
right down there on the goal line.
Inside the 5.
In my mind, I was thinking, catch it. Field the ball if you possibly can.
Yep. Don't want to put your offense in a more difficult situation than they're already in at their own 19.
Great Crossing needs a good drive here. At least get it across midfield and pin Henry Clay deep. Or if not, get a score.
Get the running game working again. A 3-and-out. They've only run 3 plays this half. There's on the ground. It's Allen. They wrapped him up better here than they had all night. He does get across the 20 to the 21 for a gain of a couple. Allen with 114 yards in the first half. That's his first carry of this third quarter. Nichols hands off to Allen. A lot of room up the middle, 30. He's got the 35 and the 40. Made a couple of guys miss. He's awfully elusive for a big guy. Out to the 48. Gain of 27. Have a night, Caden Allen, up to 143 yards on 8 carries. Mackey made the tackle, but great crossing out of a big hole there.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you, Cal? Run it again.
Run it left, run it right, run it up the middle.
Run it again. That offensive line is really doing a good job blocking them.
Saddle him up. Nope, it's going to be Isaiah Johnson with a good scoot up the middle. You go from the big back to the scat back, and you get good results there with another gain of 12 to the 40. And they are in Henry Clay territory. Warhawks have driven it from their own 19 very quickly down to the Devils' 40. A much-needed drive, as their defense had been on the field a lot. There's Johnson again to the 25, still on his feet, taken down by 2 Devils there. 15 more yards.
Get on the line, run it again.
Yes, sir.
Henry Clay, I think, is getting tired.
They're gassed. They've got some big boys on the defensive side.
A lot of hands on the hips here.
Best thing that could happen for them was the success that their offense had had, because it allowed them to collect their thoughts a little bit. They'd been kind of beleaguered in that second quarter especially, but back on the run. Patterson drags a would-be tackler to the 21 for a gain of, well, they'll mark him at the 22, a gain of 3. They're putting everybody to work now. We've seen Allen, we've seen Johnson, and now we've seen Patterson on this drive. Final seconds of the third quarter ticking away. It was a quick one. They'll change ends. Your score, great crossing, 20. Henry Clay, 14.
I believe that was a penalty-free quarter other than
the first 2 on the kickoff.
Other than 2 on the kickoff. That's why it went so fast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Oh, let's hear it for your Warhawks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we got something special for you. I need everybody to make a bunch of noise for one of the baddest dance teams in the land. Your Great Crossing.
The dance team out there being introduced by Larry Legend.
All right, yeah. All right, yeah. She moving.
Covcath beats Lexcath 7-6 in a head knocker.
Wow.
Just when you think offense has kind of taken over football, you get a 7-6 final in a Friday night high school game like it's old times. Big spot here for the Great Crossing offense. They're certainly in Jack Harold's field goal range, but they would love 6. Anything to make it a 2-score game would be great, but most efficient thing will be to punch this one in the end zone. It'll be 2nd and 7 at the Devils' 22 to start it out. Your Hoghead Trailer Sales player of the game will be announcing at the end of this game. Right now, I got a good idea who's got the inside track. Jaquise Patterson on the carry here. Takes it to the 16. Close to the marker, but not quite there. 3rd and 1. Just getting so much space behind the right side of that line tonight. Good push up there with O'Doherty and Wilson especially.
They've run 3 different nose men in, so he's doing a good job at that center. Chucky is. Whoa.
And in the backfield before anybody could breathe as it got smothered is number 44 for Henry Clay.
Big field goal right here.
Landon Barentine, he missed that. He didn't quite run under that pass that could have been a go-ahead touchdown a while ago, but he forces now, with that tackle for loss, a 35-yard field goal attempt. Bird will hold it. This is a chance to make it a 2-score game, but it's no chippy. It is right in the middle of the field. Good snap, good hold, good kick.
Nope.
No, he hooked it left. And we are still in a ball game here, folks, with 10:26 to play.
That was a big stop for Henry Clay.
Landon Barentine with the huge TFL there.
I think the linebacker just sold out. He just figured they was running to the right side and blitzed right in there on it. I don't know if that was a called blitz or him just going the minute he saw them head that direction.
We'll see what Henry Clay can do with another chance to maybe tie or take the lead. Paul with a pump fake, but had no time to get rid of it as he's sacked by number 49.
That receiver had a couple steps on him.
Lawrence Stroh, he had a great game against Western Hills a couple weeks ago. Huge spot here, 9-yard loss.
That's huge. Big play right there.
Second and 19 from his own 11. Malcolm Paul in the spread, and he still has no time to throw. Barely gets rid of it. Fisher was bearing down on it. Morris might have picked it off if he'd seen it flying by, but Paul got rid of it so quickly. He had Barentine down there, but just no time to know where he was throwing it. Fisher doesn't have, he might have a half sack tonight, but he certainly impacted the game with the pressure he's put on Paul.
Pressure on the quarterback several times. Quarterback knows he's over there.
He's aware of him. Even if he's not on the field, I think he's going to be in Malcolm Paul's nightmares. Paul will try to throw it on third down. Fisher got there. He escaped, and now he'll just give himself up inside the 15. I think he had more running room there, but he's had enough. He says, we can punt and cut our losses, and I'll turn it over to the defense here. That's a big 3-and-out for the Warhawks, regardless of how it happened.
That sack was huge. I felt like the receiver had a couple steps on the corner there, and it would have been possible.
They bid on the fake, but fortunately for the Warhawks, Stroh was right there on top of it. He didn't. He kept it coming. Low snap. Gets the punt away, though. Angles it towards his own sideline. It will take another Devils bounce roll to the 46. But on the good side of midfield are the Warhawks with 8:49 to play. Big stop there.
I believe I'd still try to keep it on the ground.
So.
Shorten this 8 minutes as long as you can. I mean, they're probably still going to get a possession. If you can limit their possession, keep the ball down on this end of the field, I think Great Crossing's in good shape.
A lot of similarities to last year's game here. It's coming down to the wire again. Similar score.
There it goes. Hit it.
Running interference for Johnson. Johnson trying to move the stack. He gets to about the 41. Another good gain of 5.
thing that Great Crossing, like on that play there, is doing such a great job. They've got a hat on a hat with everybody. He was stuck in the backfield there, but every single Henry Clay front player and linebacker had somebody on them. And you get a back like that, he can make a couple moves and pick you up 5 or 6 yards on those type of plays. You just get somebody on everybody.
Henry Clay's got to keep an eye on the clock at this point. They have 8:10 left and all 3 timeouts, as do the Warhawks. Safe throw. Nichols gets it to Kelly, and it's a first down. Zachary Kelly, officially his first catch of the night. It's an important one as it moves the chains at the 34. Now, the Warhawks came out firing. They really have dominated on the ground since then, but that's a big throw by Nichols and a big catch by Kelly here with a 6-point lead and under 8 minutes to go. Johnson, lots of room up the middle, dancing past the 20 to the 16. It's another gain of 18 for Isaiah Johnson, who has shared the load with Caden Allen this half.
On the line.
Do it again. Do it again. I just like the different looks that the Great Crossing running game can give you, because you get so many distinctly different running backs back there with different styles, but all starts up front. They've had a lot of holes to run through tonight. Now we've got a timeout.
Henry Clay.
With 7:07 to play in regulation, 20-14 Great Crossing. They are in the red zone and a chance to maybe put this away. They've had a lot of red zone visits tonight that came up empty. And that's been kind of a thorn in the side, in the flesh here for the first 3 weeks, but they'll get it sorted out. Willie the Warhawk taking it all in down there during the timeout. Warm night here at Bird's Nest Stadium. Hope you made it here, but if you're not, we're glad you're listening, watching us. Cal Oaks along with Coach Paul Raines. We'll be back here. I'll be back here next week with Sam Sutton for Scott County football, as they'll take on another tough 6A opponent from Lexington and the Bryan Station Defenders. Great Crossing trying to keep Georgetown undefeated on the season here, as the Cards have a bye. They're 2-0. The Hawks trying to go 3-0. In a dogfight here with the Devils. They've had the better of it mostly. Nichols trying to drive the nail, and there's going to be pass interference. He just never turned around, and you'll see it every time. He just was not facing the quarterback. He was facing the receiver and just kind of stiff-armed him. It'll be half the distance, I would think. It'll make it first and short unless they give them a fresh set of downs. It's an automatic first down. It'll be first and goal. Now, it'll be 1st and 2 at the 7. No, it is an automatic first down. Okay, they're gonna move the chains. They hadn't dropped them yet. Yeah. A little trouble with the handoff, but Allen got it and spun to the 5 before he was brought down.
I think Gabe's reading that backside end, and he was thinking about pulling it there for a long period of time.
Clock under 7 minutes. Big spot here. The Warhawks try to punch it in and make it real difficult for the Devils.
When the clock's running, that's big right now.
Devils have 2 timeouts. Warhawks have all 3 of theirs. In a perfect world, they won't have to use any of them. Nichols with Allen to his left. He'll give it to him again. He'll break a tackle at the 5, lean forward, touchdown, and that should do it, maybe, hopefully, as Caden Allen, for the second time tonight, is in the end zone with just nothing but churning effort.
Yeah, he packed about 3 or 4 of them from 2-yard line all the way into the end zone. What is Caden's size?
Big, bigger and biggest.
5'11", 230. That's a compact 230 pounds. And like I said earlier, I think the bulk of that weight is in his lower body. From the hips down, he is a big boy.
Kick is up by Harold, and good. 27-14, 6:21 to play. Warhawks in a good spot now, up 2 scores with 6:21 remaining. Henry Clay's offense has only had one significant drive all night, and it was aided by penalties. They had the first touchdown on the defensive side of the ball. Allen, 2 touchdown runs. Patterson, a touchdown run. Morris, a short TD plunge. The running game has gotten it done tonight. It's been a good test for the Warhawks tonight. They've been facing an athletic, feisty 6A opponent. And for the most part, they have kept their composure with one notable exception and dictated this game pretty much since about the middle of the first quarter. Little hiccup there as Henry Clay got in the ball control frame of mind in the third period, but that drive should put a stake in it. Harold will try the squib. Barentine falls on it at midfield. I don't know about that. They've had such good success pinning Henry Clay all night. I don't know. We'll see. Trust your defense, I guess. A lot of 3 and outs, though. They could use another one here. I think maybe they thought they had something on film there where they could run under it and catch him napping. But
well, you had 44 over there, one of their better receivers catching the ball.
He's a tall drink of water, and he's certainly part of their hands team. Paul, it's batted down by Fisher. Couldn't get it on the flyer. He was gone. When we talked to him the other day for the News Graphic Sports Show, which we hope you have seen either on newsgraphic.com or our YouTube platform, he started as a receiver his freshman year. He started out as a receiver, I should say. And quickly, they decided that with his size and wingspan, and you could see why there, he'd be a great edge rusher. And next thing you know, D1 offers started coming in late his sophomore season, and he's going to have a bright future in this game. Almost had 6 there, though. And you know those defensive guys love that idea. More pressure. Barely gets it off. Turned into a middle screen. I don't know if that was the original call, but it worked, and it will be a first down to Childress across the 40. Clock will stop to mark it.
That's one way to slow the rush down a little bit is
just chuck and pray.
Just chuck and pray. Nice setup play, though. They're going no huddle, hurry up offense now. They know the clock is behind them.
Not much choice. You know they'll onside kick if they score. Paul, a little timing pattern, but his receiver wasn't going to get there. Well covered by Lacosco. Clock stops at 5:56. Second down and 10. Just inside the Great Crossing 40. Warhawks lead 27-14 as they look to finish this off and go 3-0. But Henry Clay, to their credit, unraveled a little bit in the second quarter, but has not gone away. Malcolm Paul, he has been under duress all night. He finds his man shy of the first down there. It'll be Kreutzer again. They'll give him progress to about the 33. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Kreutzer does a good job of finding grass out there and get that open lane for the quarterback. And then, of course, he's an excellent receiver catching the football.
You got a tall quarterback with 2 tall targets. This Henry Clay offense haven't had a lot of time to utilize it, but they've got some weapons. Paul dumps it off to his tight end. Barentine has a first down inside the 25. Clock down to 5:20, but Henry Clay is on the move once more.
Hustling back at the ball, working that clock.
Still with 2 timeouts, the Blue Devils. Quick snap, quick throw. Going up and getting it is Kreutzer. Clock will wind at the 17-yard line, so Devils in the red zone at the 5-minute mark. 2nd and 2. Great crossing defense needs a stop. Paul has some time to throw, but misses his man over the middle on the slant. That'll be 3rd down.
That hurry-up's tough on the defensive line. There's a lot more energy being used on rushing than there is on pass block. I noticed that time it was all great crossing could do to get off the ball and put any kind of pressure on it.
That is probably the most time I was going to say that Malcolm Paul has had to throw the ball all night, and he just put a little too much mustard on it there. Pretty well covered over the middle. A couple of green shirts there. 3rd and 3. Low snap. Paul goes and gets it. Fisher, sack at the 25. The man just has a knack for the right spot at the right time. .427 left.
That's a big sack. And if they can stop them right here, that may finish off with Great Crossing's rushing attack that they've had so far.
Henry Clay uses its 2nd timeout, so if they don't get the first down here, it's going to be an uphill climb for them. They won't be able to stop the clock more than once. And they haven't had much success stopping Caden Allen or Isaiah Johnson in the second half. They haven't had much success stopping Caden Allen all night. 4th and 11. They've got to get to the 14, basically, to extend this game for all intents and purposes. Paul with 0 time to throw. It's batted and caught.
No,
I guess it's incomplete. It wasn't going to be a first down anyway, as he was rolling on the ground toward the marker.
Big stop there. I don't know who.
I didn't see who was coming in either, but he had no more than a second to get rid of that ball. 4 minutes and 23 seconds to play. Henry Clay can only stop it once. Great crossing. Can run it and run it and run it some more. Jaquise Patterson past the 30. Doubtful you'll see number 5 put it in the air again. Kyan Miller's had a good night for Henry Clay. Made the tackle there. Had the defensive touchdown earlier. Great crossing, taking its time, running the play clock inside of 10 seconds. I said that, and then Nichols is going to throw a very dangerous pass to Blunt. It was well covered and will fall incomplete and stop the clock. It was Henry Clay all over that one. Skylar Hersey. Good news is it's 3rd and short. It was one of those free downs, but boy, if Hersey had caught that, jumped it any better than he did, it might have been 6. 3:39 to play. Couple of interesting calls here down the stretch. One, the surprise onside, and then that throw there as Allen will not get to the stick. That's the first time all night that Henry Clay has been able to stop Caden Allen. And they'll probably save their timeout for offense, I would think, as the clock ticks at 3:24.
Back to front for the Warhawks. Number 13, Jesse Fair. Back deep for Henry Clay, number 24, Kreutzer.
They used up a minute and a half, but it's not as much time as they could have used up.
I'm not liking the pass call there because that's a good 30 more seconds that you could have run off the clock.
And there is a short punt. Angled. It is going to take a great crossing bounce, but won't get to midfield.
Yeah, we could easily be looking at 2 minutes right now.
Two-score game, 2:45 left. Both defenses got to be pretty spent right now. Great Crossings has been on the field. Its defense has been on the field for much of the second half. Fisher's had plenty left in his gas tank as he again gets to Paul, and it's well covered. Just Paul had to get rid of it. Big, tall receiver over the middle, but nothing, and I mean nothing there. Logan Clayton on the coverage, incomplete. Be interested to see the stats and how many times Malcolm Paul put it in the air in the second half, because they have not run. They ran a little bit on that opening drive.
The only runs they've had of any success is when they've bounced them outside.
Yeah, he got outside and
nothing inside the tackles.
That opening drive of the third quarter, and they made some hay over here toward this sideline.
Pressure again.
Steps up though, fires it deep, finds his man. Kreutzer makes two of them miss. Touchdown. This one's not over. 2:30 to play. 48 yards. Malcolm Paul to Jackson Kreutzer. My goodness. Don't go anywhere, folks.
I didn't go last year. We're not having flashbacks.
I did. That was the one thing they couldn't do was the quick strike. Stepped up in the pocket, withstood the rush, dropped the dime, did Malcolm Paul. Low snap on the PAT, jailbreak, smothered. 27-20 is where it'll stay. That's a big one.
With 2 minutes and 29 seconds to play in the fourth quarter. Your score, Henry Clay 20, Great Crossing 27.
Got to think we'll see the onside kick here. Henry Clay has got only one timeout. See what kind of hands team you got. Isaiah Johnson, Zachary Kelly. Jarius Patterson. Lacosco, he's got pretty good hands for a linebacker. He's out there. Of course, Johnson's going to be back to receive along with Kelly. But I don't think they'll kick it deep.
No, they're kicking it over their sideline, which most teams do. They want to get over in that official's ear.
Setting it on the tee is number 37, Ethan Cooper, a freshman kicker. right at Great Crossing. They will fall on it at their 47. Good job there by Bryce Hammond, I believe, is who came up with it, the tight end, number 40. Just need a couple of first downs here. For the love of all that is decent and holy, don't put it in the air again.
Got the two big backs in now.
Yep, I would think you've got to try to make room for Caden Allen here. Give it to the guy who put you in the position to win the game. Another first down to the 30, dragging tacklers to the 27. It's a gain of 30 for the senior Caden Allen, your Hoghead Trailer Sales player of the game.
Nice run.
Up close to the 200-yard mark tonight, certainly a career high. Putting his team on his back. Little busted play, but gaining yardage toward his own sideline is Nichols, and I guess they're going to wind it in bounds at the 17. He comes up a little lame, landed on his hip pretty hard.
They stopped the clock. Measurement, I guess.
It's marked at the 17. They're going to bring the chains all the way across the field with 91 seconds to play. It is a fairly significant measurement because first down basically puts this one on ice. Hasn't been easy, but Great Crossing, unlike last year, there was a player down also. I think for Henry Clay. Last year, Great Crossing had to withstand on defense. It is a first down for Gabe Nichols and the Warhawks. Tonight, they've got the ball and certainly more in control of the situation. But that deep shot from Paul to Kreutzer certainly made it a little more interesting than it needed to be. Give the QB credit, though. He has been under duress all night, and he stepped up and threw one in a tough spot there to give his team a chance. It's been thoroughly dominated by the running game tonight. Great Crossing came out on its first series tonight, throwing left, throwing right, and that just opened doors, it seems like, ever since then. Holes that you could drive a truck through, as you so aptly stated earlier.
Nice.
Nichols kept it again inside the 10 to the 5. Got to hold on to the ball, though. Holding it out there a little bit dangerously, but it's another first down. Inside the 5, clock running at 1:21. So Gabe Nichols hasn't thrown the ball much tonight, but a couple of big runs here to put it away.
Gabe's a good runner. You know, he's a good-sized boy, and he's a good runner. That was a nice play right there.
Probably the only reason they don't do it more is what you see. Sometimes you get your quarterback banged up in that situation, but
it's such a threat in the offense when you've got a quarterback that's capable of keeping the ball and running it a little bit.
Henry Clay still has a timeout. They've yet to use it. It's under a minute. They're going to punch it in and take care of business. Is that Isaiah Johnson?
Yes.
No, it's Jaquise Patterson, I believe. Keith. Number 7. And that will do it. Patterson's second touchdown run of the night. We'll put the stamp on this one, 33-20. The PAT pending.
And he takes this one after number 90, Jack Farrell. The holder, number 4, Kreutzer.
Bird will hold it for Harold. Kick's good. 34-20 is your score. 49.6 seconds left in this one. And the strobe lights will go off. Hopefully not for very long. Hawks will be 3-0 for the second consecutive year. Last year they started 5-0. Great crossing offense, stayed aggressive. They didn't try to, and I'll give them credit for that because I'll be the first one when I see an NFL team kind of get close to the vest and try to bleed the clock. And boy, 7 times out of 10, they'll find a way to lose the game doing that. You know, great crossing. The offense said, no, we got to do more to win this game. We can't get complacent. Mixed it up in the running game. I did like that better than throwing the ball. And got it done. 34-20. Barring anything here in the last 49.6 seconds. A good-looking final against a tough opponent from 6A. Deep kick by Harold this time. Return past the 20 to the 25. And that's about it. There's a stack of Warhawks coming in. Malachi Young has been a force on special teams all night. Also an interception defensively.
I guess they have to stop it. I thought they were going to let that clock run on out of there.
That'd be a shame if they did that. Huh? Henry Clay will probably throw it a couple more times here. Probably 4 if they can help it. You just gotta. This is where you do play. You know, they say the prevents you from winning. This is where you use it.
I'd put one
you
man.
Drop everybody back and just keep them under you, inside of you.
I put somebody out there on Kreutzer.
That's for sure.
Empty backfield.
Might as well have had an empty backfield most of the night. Under attack one more time as Malcolm Paul. Strayer gets there. Or was it Stroh? It was both of them, I think. The sack exchange chart continues to go up as Great Crossing has had a ton in all 3 of its wins so far this season. I'll credit that one to Josh Strayer. Time will run out, fittingly, on a quarterback sack. 34-20 is your final score.
Good win.
That is a quality win over a good football team. Henry Clay is going to win some games, certainly more than the one they got last year. They got tested. They got tested in the passing game. They got tested as far as keeping their composure. They did so. Had a chance to wilt there in the 3rd quarter and even in the 4th after the long pass play. Did not. Came and put it away. 34-20. Your Warhawks go to 3-0. Coach, been good to have you here again.
Good
Looking forward to working with you some more and watching these Warhawks work through another promising season. Until next time, on behalf of my publisher, Mike Scoggin, DT Wells, Coach Paul Raines, Brett Smith, I am merely Cal Oaks. Good night. God bless. Your final score one more time from Bird's Nest Stadium. Great Crossing 34, Henry Clay 20. Be here for the freshman game tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. I think you can watch that on NFH Network as well. Good night, everybody.